We've heard a lot about Trey Hendrickson's contract situation, and right now it seems like they're getting close, maybe just stuck on the guaranteed money aspect. But I want to talk about even if the Cincinnati Bengals sign Trey Hendrickson, he still won't be able to save this Cincinnati Bengals defense. And according to Adam Schefter, a divorce is close and might happen down in Dallas with Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons. Y'all know we gonna talk about it all, break it down, but you gotta hit the music first.
Welcome to your number one spot for all NFL news and content, NFL Central.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back into another episode of NFL Central, your number one spot for everything NFL. I'm your host here, Bobby. And if y'all tuned in, man, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And man, let's talk about Cincinnati Bengals. Trey Hendrickson, the defensive lineman over there, is definitely somebody that I really consider as one of the best in the league when it comes to being able to rush the passer and be able to rack up those sacks that defenses desperately need to go out there and have their imprint placed on a football game. And he's been one of those top guys for the last few seasons. And I still think that the Cincinnati Bengals need to figure out how they can get my man's his contract. And I definitely feel that Trey Hendrickson is a necessity at this point for the Cincinnati Bengals defense. But the problem is, and what I'm really harping on for this episode is that I don't think he can save this Bengals defense. Can he help them be a little bit better than what they have shown over the last season or two, especially so far in the preseason? Yes. But I think there is a number of things or a number of factors that have came into play on why I believe even if the Cincinnati Bengals sign or extend and re-sign Trey Hendrickson, he won't be able to save this defense that the Cincinnati Bengals have. All these draft picks that they have been drafting over the last few seasons, all the acquisitions that they have placed and brought on over to this team have not been good. And I know it's preseason and we typically don't overreact in preseason with the way that a team plays. You take it with a grain of salt and say, hey, let's wait till the actual games are being played. But hey, we got to call it how we see it. If the defense was bad last year, which they were literally at the bottom in every statistical category, and they come out and look like that at a start of a game where you're playing your starters, the opposing team is playing their starters, and you look like that, it is a cause for concern. Is it the end all be all? Absolutely not. They can still gel and be a little bit better to where they are at least an average defense. But there are many factors that go into this we talking about for the Cincinnati Bengals. You look at the Cincinnati Bengals, they have allocated a lot of money to the offensive side of the ball, going out there and, re-signing and extending Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Adam Gesicki to there, and then going out there and pouring money into the offensive line. Very important things to address. But there are two sides to a football game. There's offense and there's defense. And let me not forget about special teams because field position is very important in this league. So all the money that they allocated to the offense, they did it in a bad way. And here's why. The Cincinnati Bengals allocated all that money to the offense in a bad way simply by, number one, waiting to pay T. Higgins, waiting to pay Jamar Chase. Because now, with the timeline and the patience that they had to pay these two pass catchers that Joe Burrow wants to have around him, they are struggling to, number one, re-sign Trey Hendrickson and then fill out the rest of their roster on the defensive side of the ball that would allow them to utilize Joe Burrow's talent at peak level. The guy last year average just put up damn near 5,000 yards. If they win more games, he's an MVP. They literally cost the Cincinnati Bengals literally cost Joe Burrow an MVP last season by not building out the defense properly, not coaching up young players properly, not properly handing out contracts before markets reset at certain positions. They have been behind, and that is hindering them. It goes back into saying why Trey Hendrickson won't save the defense, because now that you have allocated so much money to these position players on the offensive side of the ball, you don't have many resources to place on the defensive side of the ball to give Joe Burrow, the guy in this high-powered offense, some type of stability to stop anybody. You don't. We literally just watched a preseason game the other day with the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Washington Commanders, and the Washington Commanders in their first drive scored in 4 plays. I don't care if it's preseason. I know we cannot go out there and say, damn, that's the end of their season, because things happen. Maybe they can get better on the defensive side of the ball, but that doesn't give you much hope, where a team can score in 4 plays and then in the second drive score in 3 plays. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Now, maybe Trey Hendrickson can come in and add a little bit of a push in the run game, a little bit more stability in the passing game, you know what I'm saying, and help, that defensive line. But what about the linebackers that got to come fill the A or the B gap? What about the defensive backs while the big fellas up front are getting after them? The cornerbacks hold for an extra second, because we know that, and let's talk logic football here, is that no defensive backfield can hold wide receivers forever. But if you believe in your pass rush, and I believe that with, Shamar Stewart and Trey Hendrickson, the pass rush will be able to get there. But the biggest question is, can your linebackers cover? Can your defensive backs cover long enough to allow Trey Hendrickson to get there? If a quarterback is getting rid of the ball in 2.5 seconds or less, you're cooked. The goal of the pass rush is, and the defensive backfield is to hold. The goal of the defensive backfield is to hold for an extra second, to allow the defenders that you have on this defensive line to get there, because I think that once you add Trey Hendrickson's back to the defensive line, you will be fine in that area. But the defensive backs and the damn linebackers can't cover. They don't understand gap discipline, at least in that game. They can still very well improve in that. But from what we've seen dating back to last season, which is a large enough sample size to understand and come out and say, it's just not good enough. What is going on with the coaching? Simply because when we compare the Cincinnati Bengals defense and how young they are, Sean McVay lost Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, Jalen Ramsey in like a shorter amount of time. And then just recently, we seen young players come out and give them a decent enough defense to where they started to trend and look really, really good. And you're like, yes, now we're a Super Bowl contender. Nobody with Joe Burrow on their team is saying the Cincinnati Bengals are a Super Bowl contender. That is crazy to me. Joe Burrow is like that. Joe Burrow is really, really like that. He really is. Joe Burrow is, you can argue top 5. I'm going to say top 3. At least top 3 on however you want to dice it up when it comes to quarterbacks. At least. You got to give it to him. But they ain't going nowhere with this putrid ass defense. That's the biggest thing. That's what loops us back into this conversation. And if the Cincinnati Bengals ever had an opportunity to say, you know what, we don't have the money to sign Trey Hendrickson, let's trade him before the draft to recoup additional draft capital and take more shots at building and drafting better defensive players so we can give Joe Burrow the stability he needs. He needs it. When Patrick Mahomes last season, before we move on, when Patrick Mahomes last season, and according to a lot of people and talking heads around the league that cover the league and that does content around the league, was not having such a great year. What kept him in the games to where Patrick Mahomes can go do Patrick Mahomes stuff to cash in on the wins he got last season? The defense. That's the stability that Joe Burrow needs. Because every single Sunday, he's not going to be able to throw 400 yards and put up 35 points and win games. Last year, they put up over 33 points in like 4 games last season, and they was 1-3. That's disappointing, bro. So again, I believe that they should sign Trey Hendrickson, but I don't believe he is going to be able to put on a Superman cape, gather the Justice League, and save the Cincinnati Bengals defense because they are that damn bad. It comes down to coaching too. How do you develop the young guys on your team? What do you do schematically to get you a system or have a unit of defensive players that can at least play average defensive football? Because I don't think they don't need an elite defense, but you need the damn defense to get you some stops so you can breathe a little bit. If Joe Burrow is down a touchdown, or we go and put up 7, they put up 7, they stop, you know what I'm saying? They stop us, they go put up another 7. Joe Burrow got to come in and be damn Superman. They have to be better, bro. They have to be better. But y'all let me know how y'all feeling about that. Let me know, am I going too far with it? Let me know your thoughts and chime in on a discussion, man. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. But hey, according to Adam Schefter, man, for what it looks like down in Dallas, Dallas Cowboys and Micah Parsons could be heading for a divorce. And I believe it this much. Very, very little. Like, not even gonna lie. I understand that the Dallas Cowboys and Micah Parsons could be heading for a divorce. I don't believe it. I just don't. That's just me. I don't necessarily believe it. When Micah Parsons first came out with the trade request, I said, stand on business. If you mean it, mean it. But then we got to talk about the football aspect and then all the other things that come into play when you talk about NFL players. Number one, Micah Parsons still has 1 year left on his deal. If he doesn't play this season, they can franchise tag him. He's stuck for another year. That's 2 years under the finger of a Dallas Cowboy. And then I'm looking at reason number 2 on why I'm not really in belief of this whole entire thing. Simply because Jerry Jones gonna cave. He gonna go out there and make Micah Parsons the highest paid non-quarterback. And I think that he just bullshitting right now. This is what Jerry Jones does. He gets us to talk about him. He gets us to make these things and have these discussions about how dumb he is as a billionaire. You know what I'm saying? Or at least a team owner. Very, very smart as a marketer, man, to boost up and have everybody believe that the Star is America's team when they are not America's team. It was once given to the Patriots, at least in my eyes. But for some strange reason, he has convinced the masses that the Dallas Cowboys are America's team, and they have been ass. They had some good seasons, but that's not America's team. Is about winning. America, we win. However you like to dice it up. America, we win. Dallas Cowboys haven't won in 30 years. I give y'all this, and then we can continue on with the why I'm not in belief. When we go to the Olympics, and face the world, the expectation is we coming home with the most medals. We coming home with the most gold medals, silver, bronze. It don't even matter if we was playing for certificates. The expectation is to come home with the most whatever. For the Dallas Cowboys, that's not an expectation. The expectation is for them to get to an NFC championship game right now. And that ain't happening. If it does happen, they shock the world. Jerry can go ahead and be the marketing genius that he is. But when it comes to Micah Parsons, bro, look, when he came out and demanded the trade, my idea was, hey, it's going to be a haul. But I also said, the chances of Micah Parsons being traded from the Dallas Cowboys is very, very slim. It's very, very slim because Jerry Jones does this. And a lot of the times, some guys, they look the people in the face and then they say, hey, I want to be traded. And then the team say, you know what? We're going to make you the highest paid non-quarterback in the league, Myles Garrett. And then he signs back. What happened to the trade request, bro? So Micah Parsons could have very well put in his trade request. But when Jerry Jones walks through that door and say, I have 40, however much money, here's the contract. Micah Parsons signs on the dotted line. They move on with the season. That's just how I'm looking at it. I don't necessarily know unless he stands on business and look Jerry right in the face and rip up the contract. Now that'll be interesting, but I don't think it's never be happening. Plus Jerry Jones can be like, okay, bet you're gonna play for the $20 million a year that I'm about to give you anyway. Or you could forfeit the whole $20 million. Then when you come back next season, I'm a franchise tag you. You're really in a tough position. But it's very, very interesting. I love these type of things, man, especially going along with my favorite league in the world, football. But hey, I just don't think it's going to happen. I understand that Adam Schefter said this could be going towards an ending, you know what I'm saying, a divorce. I just don't see it happening. That's just me. I just don't see it happening. But hey, I appreciate you guys, man, for tuning in to another episode. That is it for me today. And yeah, leave your comments, thoughts, and everything down below. And y'all already know, man, I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. For sure.
This has been a presentation of the Break